This short presentation will go through the online safety lesson that we did this week in our Communicate with Technology class. Make sure to go to our course website where there's lots more information and links and videos and things that you could use. Okay, what we're going to talk about this week is safety in emails, safety on your smartphones and tablets, and safety on your computers. But first, let's review. Let's talk about malware. That is the main category of those things that are unwanted that show up on your devices. There's different types of malware. There's viruses, there's adware, puts ads on your devices, spyware, they spy on what you're typing, ransomware, they want money for things. But basically, they're all the same thing. They're malicious software that end up on your device and in your network. There's lots of different sources of these, and that's what this presentation is going to talk about. Let's start with emails. This is one of the most important things that you can do to stay safe with malware and viruses. So there are different scams that are around. There's scams that can involve fraud emails. Remember the ones that were the Nigerian businessman type emails where they had $10 million, and if you could just hold on to it for a bit, they'll give it, you can give it back when they're ready. Discount software, advance fee fraud. Somebody wants to buy something, they'll give you more money, and then you go and pay them back. Again, all these things are malicious. These are all malicious, and you need to be aware of that. Okay, how can you tell if it's malicious? Well, we're going to have some examples here, but the first thing you want to do is look at the sender. Do you know the sender? Maybe you know the name on there, but is the email address their email address? It's really easy to use someone else's name with another email address. So look for that email address. Does that sender address you by name? If this is especially from your bank or someplace sensitive and they're asking for important information about you, they should have your name there. Do they have embedded links? When there is a link on an email, you can take your cursor and you can put your cursor right on top of that link. And down in the bottom of the corner of the email, you will see where that link is going to. So it may say SDCE website, and it may go to maliciousSite.com. Look and see where it's going. Also, language, spelling, and grammar. A lot of this malware is created in other countries, and so they are translated incorrectly. So if you see anything like that, that's a red flag. If the content of the email is bizarre or unbelievable, well, just don't keep reading. If they have a call to action button, oh, you better do this right away, it's really, really important, that's another sign that it could be malicious. And of course, if they're asking for sensitive information. So those are some of the things that might help you identify if it is malicious. On our website, you'll find this link, and we did this in class, but I would like you to go to that link and visit that site and see how you do. There's 8 questions, and they're going to show you an email, and you're going to say whether it's real or not real, and then they're going to tell you if you're right, and then they're going to show you why or why not. Not only the email, but there's also the things that people attach to email. You know, those documents, those pictures, those files. According to a report by Verizon, 66% of malware was installed with the malicious email attachment. Now, the good news is that our email providers, Google, Outlook, AOL, they usually scan those, and so they'll usually catch them if they're malicious. However, you still have to exercise caution when you see an email attachment. So what you want to do is you want to be aware of any of the file names that are like misspelled or just a bunch of letters or numbers. If someone's going to go to the trouble of creating something they want you to open, they're going to name it. Also, a file has an ending. So it'd be .doc, .xls, .exe. Well, the exe one is a program file, and that is the most dangerous one. So unless you ask them to send you a program that you can put on your device, you should get your program files from their websites. Unless you know that it's reputable, don't open it. And by the way, whenever you go to try to install an exe file, you're going to come up with a pop-up that's going to say, do you know that this could harm your computer? Now, if you wanted to install it, if you're downloading Microsoft Office, well, then that's fine. But otherwise, be wary of those exe files. Beware of the zipped files. Now, I have sent zip files. If you have 10 pictures you want to send to someone, it's much more effective to send them in one time instead of sending them 3 or 4 at a time, which is all your email program will handle. So there's a way of zipping them up and compressing them and sending them that packet. But beware, because you don't know what's in there, and there could be malware or some sort of virus in there. And then also, any type of Office document, .doc, .docx, .xls, those were all made by Microsoft Office. Now those are good. I send some things like that. Those are good documents, but make sure it's from a source that you recognize, because they could have in them special codes or script that can make changes to your program. That would be your Office program. Okay, we're going to look at some quick examples. We're not going to spend too much time on these, but you can come by and look at them later. This one is an online banking email. It has an address that could be a little bit questionable. The grammar is a little funny. We recently reviewed your account, just a few things, and there's no name on there either. So that is definitely a phishing one. You wouldn't want to click on that. Okay, even though it says it's from Costco, look at where the address is. It's manager@cbcbuilding.com. That sure doesn't sound like a Costco site. Anybody can copy and paste a logo. So if there's a logo, that doesn't mean it's actually from there. Your banks are oftentimes a target for malware. So again, if it's from your bank, it's not going to say it's a customer, not going to say dear Visa customer. If this is so important, then they're going to have your name on there. The address here, visa/secure.com, that may not be a real address. Visa.com is, but visa-secure.com, that may not be. When in doubt, you can Google a term and you can put in that address and go, is this legitimate? And then see if you can get an answer there. This seems to be from Netflix, but if we look up here at the address, it's netflix.ssl.com. That's not Netflix. And if you are on your email and you hovered your mouse around continue, this is what you would see. And again, these shipping companies often are targeted by spam. This one is an easy one. As I look at who it's from mnmposters.com. That sure does not seem like DHL. Don't click on anything. Okay, yeah, maybe Google's sending you something. They're worried about you, but they're sending it from ACCGmail, yeah, that's not Google. PayPal's not a bad organization. It's a way that you can pay for things and you don't have to give the person you're buying it from a credit card, but they're often the target of malware. So always be very wary of anything that comes from PayPal. And in this case, this is coming from PayPal@textplasting.com. Doesn't look like PayPal to me. Anytime you see something that's congratulating you because you won a big prize and click here to get it, delete that. We talked about the Nigerians. You don't get as many of these now, but you do. There was something in the news this week about a Nigerian who was targeting Instagram, I think. Again, too good to be true. Look at this long rambling note. You wouldn't answer that. You just let it go. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about your smartphones and your tablets. In this case, your biggest problem are your apps. So the apps that you install could spy on you. They could put ads on there without you knowing it. They could take your credit card information. They can steal your contacts and your photos. They can put location trackers on so they know where you're going. They can read your private texts. They can save passwords. They can even go shopping with your money. So what should you do? Well, first of all, you want to avoid third-party app stores. So if you have an Android device, you go to the Google Play Store. If you've got an Apple device, you go to the Apple Store in order to get apps. You don't go online to a website that says click here to download an app for this website. You don't want to do that because that's a third-party site. There's also third-party app stores that pop up. And again, they say, oh, we have some good apps here. You can get free software with this app. Look out. Look out for fake apps and scams. There are so many fake apps out there. So when you're on the Google Play Store or on Apple, who developed it? Are they from the US? Are they from another country? There's apps that are supposed to protect your device. They're called VPNs, virtual private networks. Many of them have been developed in China. If they're developed in China, do you really think that they're legitimate? Do you really want to put all of your faith in an app developed in another country? Which has, that's just something to consider. When you're looking at the apps, you want to look at how many times it's been downloaded. When was it published? If it was published just a couple days ago, that's really kind of a scary thing. Or if it was published 5 years ago and there's been no updates and hardly anyone's downloaded it, well, that's another red flag. What about reviews? You're not going to get all perfect reviews, but the reviews should kind of say something about the legitimacy and the accuracy and the efficiency of the app. So read those reviews. What about the grammar and spelling? If it wasn't made in the US, the grammar and spelling might be off. So you might have to be wary of that. And is that app too good to be true? Now, when you download an app, it's going to ask for permissions, camera, microphone, location. If it makes sense to you, then yes, go ahead and agree to it. But if it doesn't make sense to you, don't download the app. So if it's an app that has nothing to do with where you are located, it's asking for permission to follow you with your location, you want to avoid that app. You can install an antivirus on your device. Now, if you have an iPhone, that's not as important, but if you have an Android, it might be helpful to install an antivirus. So this site, av-test.org, is a great site. And that will tell you, they test every 4 months, they're independent, and they see which apps or which antiviruses are the best, not only for phones and smartphones, but also for your computers. So take a look at that site sometime, look at the different antivirus suggestions that they have, and maybe think about investing in another antivirus. Can you trust text messages? So I actually got this on my phone, and this to me was relatively new. I don't get a lot of spam on my phone, and I wasn't really sure what I should do, and it did have a link there. Wasn't really sure what I should do. So I did the only thing I really know what to do, and that is I Googled that phone number. I took that phone number, I put it in the Google search, and I Googled it. And when I did, I was directed to a reverse phone directory, checkwhocalled.com. I put the number in, and they told me it was fake. So pay attention to things and don't accept things just at face value. Is your phone infected with malware? Some things you might notice, you might have increased data use. We all have sort of a cap on our data. If all of a sudden you're over that or you're approaching your cap, why is that? Is your bill getting more expensive? Maybe there's things that have been added on there. Is your phone crashing or your apps crashing? Are you getting pop-up ads on your phone? Or unfamiliar apps showing up? I mean, the only apps you have are the ones that you should have downloaded to your device. Is your phone overheating? That's indication that it's running all the time, which means that it's connecting even though you're not using it. And now this is a tricky one. If you have an Android device and it's over 2 years old, you are more prone to infections. And the reason is these Android devices are really unique. Depending on if they're Samsung or Motorola, different companies make the Androids. Different companies have different rules on updating their software. Now, they'll always update it within that operating version, but they may not update to the next version. And sometimes there are problems that can't be resolved without just changing up the entire operating system. You see that Apple does that all the time. It'll go from a complete one number to the next number. It had the operating system 9 and 10 and 11 and 12. It has all these different levels. Android has them too, but they don't always give all the levels to their different phones. So that's why there could be a problem with an Android. If you want to use your phone or tablet and be safe, first thing you want to do is avoid public Wi-Fi. So you've got cellular connection on your phone, so use it if you're at the airport or in a hotel. Don't use the public Wi-Fi if you have cellular. You can use your phone as a hotspot to connect to your tablet or your computer, and that way you don't have to use the public Wi-Fi as well. So you don't want to download or anything or look at any sensitive sites while you're on public Wi-Fi. You can also purchase a hotspot if you're going to be traveling overseas. That hotspot would be and we talked a bit about the VPN. that's a virtual private network that offers protection around your device that encrypts all the data going in and out. It's a great idea. However, it could also be one of the most dangerous things for your device because it's in charge of all the data that goes in there. So avoid the free ones, do some research, don't just grab the first one that looks good. Okay, home computers. They are a security risk as well. Hackers can get into your system, your network, or your device. They can get into your bank accounts. They could drain your bank accounts if they're lucky. They can create new accounts for you, which you may not find out about for a while. They can change the settings on your computer and or your network. If they change the settings on your network, that could mean that other people might be able to access as well. They can install a virus that affects the entire networks. That wouldn't be just your computer, but any device that attaches to your network would be affected. They can spy on your passwords, so much more. So what can you do to be safe? So there are things that you can do to protect your home network. And the first thing, maybe one of the most important, is to install a reputable antivirus app. So once again, I'm going to bring up this site, avtest.org. And that is a site that you can go to look for reputable sites. Don't open email messages from unfamiliar sources. We've talked about email. We talked about attachments. Your browser probably comes with the pop-up blocker. And so that's for your protection, because pop-ups are the ones that, they're from random sites. And if you start clicking on them, you could start ending up on bad, malicious sites. So you don't want pop-ups. Use the pop-up blocker. Always update your operating system, Windows, Mac. If they tell you they want to update it. Even if you think most times these operating systems include some sort of patch. Okay, use a firewall. Now that actually comes with your operating system and your antivirus, but a firewall protects your whole device. And you don't even have to think about it, it's just there. So it's probably on automatically, but if you get a chance and it says, oh, do you want to turn off your firewall? Don't do that, keep that on. In your browser, there's a way to browse incognito. And that means it won't save your history and it won't save your search and it won't save anything, like passwords or things like that. So if you are concerned about someone being on your network or on your computer, that's a good idea. And then cleaning your browsing history every so often. And that's done in settings. Other tips, when you're on a website, I think most of us know this, it should start with HTTPS. I'm sitting here looking at my Chrome browser right now, and I'm seeing that doesn't have HTTPS. It doesn't even have HTTP, but it does have a lock. So as long as there's a lock and or HTTPS on the address bar, that's going to be best. Update your browsers regularly. Here's how to find out if your Chrome is updated. Other ones are similar. Avoid extensions. Those are the things that you put onto your browser to make things go quicker. However, those can also be dangerous. Use a good strong password. Next week we're going to talk about password managers. I think that's a good idea. And then you might even try a password generator to set up your passwords. So that concludes our talk, and please go to the course website because you're going to see so much more on there. You're going to see videos and images and all sorts of resources. So just view this as being your introduction to online safety. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.